Yo, pull up a chair, let the real talk begin. Faith on the table where the brothers lock in. Life gets heavy, but we stand our ground. Truth in the room when the circle comes round. No mask, no front, just real man here. Talking about faith through the doubt and the fear. From the grind of the week to the lessons we share. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair. Men's round table series, step inside. Real men, real faith where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair.
Welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series Interview Spotlight. I'm your host, Mr. U. If you're watching us, wherever you are and however you're watching the show, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube.com @ They Call Me Mr. U. Love your support there. Of course, our show is targeted specifically towards men, so we call it the Men's Roundtable Series Spotlight. If you didn't already know, you hear about it probably 2 or 3 times in this episode. Every Thursday night at 7 p.m. EST, we have our Men's Roundtable Series podcast where we have men from around the country, sometimes around the world, talking about issues that are germane to men. It's a safe space we created for men, husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons to talk about the stuff that they hold most dear, the thing that challenge them the most, and where they want the most breakthrough and transformation and restoration. So we talk about all of that stuff. This show is a one-on-one version of that same kind of premise. So this is a safe space for men. If you have a question for myself or our guest today, drop it in the comments section. Whether you're male or female, we'll answer those questions accordingly. Thanks again for making us part of your week and joining us in support of the Interview Spotlight today. Our guest today is a high-performance executive coach, author, and creator of a U.S. registered coaching process called The Game of 10. Love that name. Steve Barton's in the house with us. Steve, how are you, man?
I'm great. Thank you, Mr. Wu. I really appreciate being on your podcast, and I've heard lots of good things about you. And we have a mutual friend I find out this morning.
I know. I'm so excited about that. Why that man not on any of my shows yet? I understand that.
I promise you he's going to be on every one of them.
You don't have to put him on blast because this is like incredible. We've known each other for, it's probably been well over 6 months that we've known each other and we've been connected, and we have not done that at all. So not sure what that's about. Let's get that man straight, all right?
But for us, I will take care of it for you.
Right. Let's get into our conversation. You got so much real-world leadership experience, and I love that. Clearly you've done a lot of deep personal development work on yourself. I love that. As a man in the face of society as it is right now, and all the things that we do to help other men, why is that important for you to have that kind of deep work on yourself before you begin to coach others and begin to reach out and help other men? Why is that important for you?
Well,
I love to hear that.
It's so important to heal yourself before you can help heal others. I mean, it's in A Course in Miracles, they call it the unhealed healer. A lot of people in the psychology, psychiatry, wellness are doing it to be healed themselves. And I want to be healed by a healer. So, bring me the witch doctor, because I know they've done the work.
No, not them. You need that kind of help. But go ahead, man.
I think that you need to heal yourself before you begin to heal others, or else you're taking from the person you're trying to heal. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Game of 10 in our offline conversation. I love the name. I feel like it has a sports conversation to it somewhere. I love hearing this. What is the Game of 10 and why did you start it?
Well, I've been a self-help junkie for 33 years now. And what I realized was it all says the same thing. It all goes back to be yourself. Who am I? Who is myself? Capital S. And it really goes back to we are the divine, or an aspect or of the divine. And I'm not religious, but I am super connected to consciousness, awareness, source energy, whatever you want to call it. I'm about as woo as nothing. So it's common sense. And I think we need a lot more common sense in life as men, as human beings. Really combining the human with the being is alignment.
I love it. When you talk about there's certain stresses that men specifically deal with. I know that some people frown upon this kind of commentary because they think, men already have it all. They already have everything. They already control everything. But men deal with a very specific kind of struggle, a very specific kind of challenge. We discussed this on our roundtable podcast and on the spotlights, because even from my own perspective, I've seen where I deal with things that people just don't seem to understand, or they don't even know about it at all. They make assumptions about what men deal with. What was the most peculiar or surprising situation you came across in your coaching other men that you hear men dealing with? What was surprising to you?
Well, nothing really surprises me. We're never going to fit the narrative of what society thinks we are. We have to fit the narrative of who we are. So I really am a strong knower of I'm myself. Take me or leave me, please.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. You preach the idea of I am enough.
I am enough.
When we talk about men and the struggle that men deal with, specifically, a lot of it is based on some bad narratives. They're based on some ideas that are either placed on us, or we learn societally is the right thing that we're supposed to be doing as a man, where we should be as men. Why is the I am enough something that you feel like men need to hear about? Why do you think that's important for men to hear about?
Because it's a universal space, it's a universal quantity, it's a universal portion that we don't talk about. Eckhart Tolle wrote the book, The Power of Now. Okay. I've got to read it again because I don't think he talks about much, or it didn't impact me, but that was a real strong book in my life. Being present, and being a man is about being present. Being a father is about being present with a child. Being in a relationship is about being with your partner. It's about being present moment awareness, and and the enough is the space. Time is now. The universal space is enough. So now is always enough.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you don't set out big goals. Those are what you cast out, and you say, this is who I am right now. This is where my idea of my dream, my vision is. We are intentional, intuitive, spiritual beings having a physical experience. And how we express that as a man, as a woman, as a father, as a leader, this is how we express. And those expressions can be developed, but our being is perfect as it is.
Yeah. I think we've gone down some different paths in regards to how we coach, even perhaps who we coach, you and I, but we do operate from the coaching genre, if you will. And I love that we have the high performance approach in common. And I know we don't have a lot of time in our show, so I'm going to make sure I try to get this in somewhere. I had to wedge it in. But what do you think is the most surprising aspect of high performance coaching for you, or even maybe perhaps the most challenging that you've seen so far? Because I got plenty of those to share, but what do you think is the most surprising and or challenging part of high performance coaching as opposed to something else?
Well, I think that people who are high performers, executives, they want to hold on to a bit of their ego.
Ooh,
and the game. Yeah. So we have two games playing, okay? And I get my clients to one game and being the best at that game, and that's a game of 10. The other game is the game often played, 1 through 9. And there's 4 major categories. There's only one, but fear. But I broke it down to 4, which is fear, 1 through 9. Doubt, self-doubt, 1 through 9. Guilt, I did something bad, you did something bad, 1 through 9. And shame, I am bad, they are bad, 1 through 9. So that is the matrix, and that you've watched on movie screen or on Netflix. That is the matrix, and most people live in the matrix because there's 6,541 choices in that matrix. Okay, so most people live quite nicely and get up to really successful people get up to 9, but they don't take that leap of faith to go to 10, to know that they have no power outside of themselves. And that is a big leap for most high performers. So I get them to take that leap of faith and go into 10, which is infinite. What infinite possibilities, infinite solutions, infinite choices.
I love it. As a man, husband, father, brother, and son, you personally, not who you coach, but you personally, what would you say was I won't use the word learning curve or the phrase learning curve. What was the biggest challenge for you in any of those 4 areas or all 40 areas for you that you think sharing that today will help the men who are watching and listening to us now?
I'd go to therapy.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I was 36 years old. I took over my family's business from my father. He had a stroke when he was 48. Luckily, I knew I wanted to be there's a flower business, believe it or not. And I knew I wanted to go into that business since I was 8 years old. I was working in the flower shop. So both my parents were at an FTD convention in Kansas City, Missouri. And I get a phone call. I was leaving the country and not coming back. I was going to study floral design in Amsterdam and Holland and Germany. That's where it was happening. I wasn't coming back. And because I knew I couldn't work with my father, the shop wasn't big enough. And so, yeah, I just finished business school, graduated, and get a phone call 3 days before I was leaving. And they said, my mother says, your father's had a stroke. You need to stay and run the business. So at 22 years old, I was running the family flower business and supporting my mother and father. And that was a big thing. I remember saying to my father one day, he said, do you want to be my father or do you want to be my boss? And his reply was, I want to be your boss. that was a big aha moment. And I worked in the business for 30 years, but 13 years into it, I went to therapy. And the therapist says, why are you here? I said, I have everything in the world I want. I'm not happy. I said, that is effed up. And he laughed and I go, how long is it going to take? And what can I expect? 33 years ago, people didn't go to therapy. Okay. Now it's like, I think they overdo it sometimes, but that's my opinion. So I said, how long is it going to take? And what can I expect? He says, typically I say 3 months, you're halfway there, knowing that I was messed up. So, and then he said, what you're going to get is mental. Well, within that month and a half, I had an out-of-body experience, everything that I got to 10, okay? I got a level 10 and couldn't come down for like a month and a half. So it took me about a month and a half to really assimilate who I am and behave in a normal world, okay? Being natural in a normal world. And I'm still working on that. So
okay.
It was a huge awakening for me. And I've heard you talk about this on one of the other podcasts. Some people do it at 20, some do it at 30, some go through their whole life, some do it at 40, 50. But at some point you're going to realize what we think we are is our ego. Our identity is not who we really are. And how can we align our ego, which is there to protect us, in a dishelpful way? How do we align our identity with who we truly are? And that's
okay. And we have discussed this on other shows because not just being a coach and a mentor and a minister and a leader in several areas I've been blessed to serve in and work in, but we always try to look at not performance in a performing way, but just being the best that we can be, contributing, growing in the process, serving others, giving hand ups instead of handouts, excuse me. Yeah. And so we talk about that kind of stuff, operating from the highest level in life, business, entrepreneurship, family, etc. So we have talked about that. I'd love to hear, I think this could be about a final question for you today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this part, because I know that you definitely help people also aspire to achieve the highest level in business and life, etc. When you talk about your father, it resonates with me because these are the kind of things that we talk about on this show and on the roundtable on Thursday nights at 7. Shameless plug. What do you think is you didn't get into a lot of it, and you can share as much as you feel comfortable sharing,
Sure.
A lot of folks achieve high things, high levels in life, like we're talking about right now, like you talk to with the executive clients. But those kind of things that you mentioned, either they don't deal with it or they push it to the back like it's not an important thing. But it always seems to upset the apple cart, especially when the apple cart gets big and full of apples. That's the thing, that unresolved issue with your father that comes back and bites you. I'm acquainted with that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, your feelings on that? And you kind of can tailor to our audience, speak to them as you're speaking to me. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, unresolved issues will be the driving force of your behaviors. So you want to get those issues resolved, okay? That this is the fact of the situation. My father wanted to be my boss from the time I was 22 to the time he died at 92. Okay,
wow.
So it was kind of like, that's okay, you know.
Okay.
And I learned at a young age that he wanted me to support him and my mother, and that was my purpose. That was in his eyes, that's what I did, you know. So that was fine. I said to my wife, my girlfriend, that when my father dies, just know that I will not be grieving, because it'd be like I grieved him a long time ago. That day, I lost my father. So, yeah. So you learn that, did I love him? Yeah. I absolutely loved him unconditionally. I knew his capacity to love me, and that's fine. That was enough. And but it was not like a close relationship. And
that's fair.
It was a business. He was my boss. He owned 51% of the company. I owned 49%. So he was boss to the day we sold. So that's how it was. And
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw one more really quick question in because you sparked something different. Because I didn't have a close relationship with my father either. Mm-hmm. I basically chased him across the country, tried to find the answers for some things. And when he was living and creating a brand new life, you talk to people who may have issues like this. Mm-hmm. How are you able to, and be as transparent, honest, and as brief as you can? How are you dealing with that when you know that was, like I stated with mine, kind of an unresolved issue? Now you got these clients who may have the same thing going on. How do you compartmentalize how to help them without bringing your own baggage to the table? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But I don't feel I have any baggage around that. Okay. So I did release it, let it go, came to the realization and acceptance of this is how it is. Okay. And so part of the game of 10 is everyone's doing the best they can with the awareness that they have. I mean, my father grew up with his father saying, "I wish you were never born." Okay. So it's generational. And it really is generational. So we inherit a lot of the they call it the sins of the father, you know, the lack of being able to share a loving relationship with a child. They do the best they can. I mean, he did a lot better. I knew my grandfather. My grandfather liked me because I wouldn't put up with any of his crap. So I was his favorite because I would call him on stuff and he would be ranting and raving and I'd go right up to him and said, "Stop it. You're mean." I would be like 8 years old. I said, "You're mean." And he'd love that. Wow. Yeah. My whole life, I was born with two fingers on one hand. So I learned at a very young age, you don't put up with people making fun of you or making you less than for something that you have no control over. So,
wow. Yeah. Well, Steve, thanks for coming in here and teaching us about the psychology of peak performance and what it means to move on in a higher level in business and in life. It really means so much. I put your website up on the screen for those that are watching, but for those that are listening, you can't see it, but catch on the replay. But it says www.stevebartoncoaching.com. That's where you can find Steve and his work. Is there any other ways they can reach you, Steve, besides stevebartoncoaching.com? Any other ways they can reach you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, send me a request to join me on LinkedIn. I put up some posts. You can download the book. My son and I wrote a book together.
Oh, sweet.
Called, he was 18 at the time. He's 24 now. It's called The Father, the Son, the Aha Moment. And it's tools for helping you and your child develop a path to happiness. And one thing we all have, if people don't have children, if they do, if you don't have children, read it for your inner child, because that needs to be healed for you to be the leader that you are. And that's the game of 10's all about. You are enough, you do enough, you have enough. You are 10, you're doing the best that you can with the awareness you have, and you're always right with the awareness you have. You can always increase your awareness, but you can never be better than who you are.
Thank you very much, sir. I love that. This opportunity to break generational strongholds. I definitely appreciate that. Author and the originator, if you will, of the game of 10 and high performance executive coach, Steve Barton. If you're watching and listening for the very first time, wherever you are and however you're watching this show, thanks for making us part of your week. That's Steve Barton. I'm Mr. U. This is the Men's Roundtable Series Interview Spotlight. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a good one.
Men's Roundtable Series, step inside. Real men, real faith, where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the Men's Roundtable, pull up a chair.